With AI technology on the rise, there's an exceptionally high demand right now for text-to-audio music, where you type in a text prompt and then you get an audio sample from that. And there's not really a consistent way or reliable way to get that right now. Everyone is excited about Google's Music LM coming out, but we don't really know when that's going to be, if it will ever really come out. Okay, so of course, as I'm editing this video, Google just released Music LM, so I'll have a video on that coming up shortly. But I believe that I just found a new reliable way to do text-to-audio using WavTool. Now, I've already covered WavTool in a different video, but if you don't know, WavTool is a completely fully-fledged AI DAW, where you can make complete projects from scratch using AI, where before they only had MIDI generation. But in their newest update, they've released a new feature to do text-to-audio. So let's go ahead and check that out. Alright, so we are back on over to wavetool.com over here, going to the right with the new sample library, where at the top right we can insert our prompt. Now, one thing that's very different about the WavTool audio generator is that contrary to other AI tools, it actually says it wants short prompts. Normally, I would recommend doing long, very detailed and drawn out prompts that get very specific and fine-tune what you want, but here it says that short prompts might work the best. So let's just go and start with dark synth melody in E minor. What? Alright, so it might not seem there's a whole lot to go off of right there, but actually I'm going to accept that and drag it on over to our timeline over here. And yes, this is a fully fledged DAW where you can add drums, mixing, mastering and everything, but there's not a whole lot of ways you can change up this sample over here. Like, it's kind of hard to cut and stretch certain things to put it on beat. As you can see right here, it's not on time, which a good point to mention is that every single melody and every single sample that I've created so far have been 5 seconds and 12 milliseconds long, every single one of them. Despite putting 8 bars long over here, it still went to 5 seconds, which is actually going to be more around 94 BPM as I found out, and that's going to be around 2 bars long. So from there, I'm actually just going to export this right here as a WAV file, and now I'll be putting this melody inside of FL Studio, and let's see how well that loops right now. And I think that loops pretty well so far. There's not a whole lot of rhythm in the sample, so BPM is not a huge concern. It's definitely going to be more of like an atmospheric sort of track right here, and something you would use in like the undertones, maybe even just like texture. But now you can add your different third-party effects over here and use all the sampling tools you have inside of your DAW. So we can even change up the pitch a little bit. Cool, yeah. And then for the back half of these 4 bars, you can make that one unique and then reverse it. So now I can actually consolidate this real quick, duplicate that once again, and then make it unique, and maybe down like 3 semitones. I do kind of like it better, the original one, so I'm going to keep it like that. Okay, and then we can start adding some drums. Okay. It's really important here when you only have one audio sample to really pull out all the tricks that you have when sampling. Like cutting out the audio right before a different part of the track, where even then you could have like a reverse crash. Alright, so I'm gonna put everything inside of mixer track. Definitely sounds a lot wider now, and also, just by the way, if you guys do want to go get Shaperbox 3, there's a link down below if you want to go pick that up. Even add like some reverb on there too. Actually worked out a little bit better than I expected. Alright, so that's the first test that we've got over here, and I'm actually kind of glad it worked out this way because it just goes to show that, yes, when going through it, it didn't really seem like there's a whole lot to go off of for the sample, but we were still able to make a fully fledged track out of it. Now, yes, it's really only an 8-bar loop over here, but I could definitely finish out this entire track and make a full beat out of it. But for this video, we're going to move on to a second test over here. I created a couple different demos over here for you already off camera, and we'll go over that right now. Alright, so now back to WavTool over here. These are some of the other demos I've already made. But sticking along the guitar notes over here, I got this. and we actually made a full track using that sample right there. Alright, so I laid down that melody inside of FL Studio over here and cut it up every 2 bars. As you can see, we've got different variations over here from number 3, 4, 1, 2, all different pitches as well, along with putting on some delay and reverb. And then I laid down some lo-fi drums with an 808 pattern over here. Alright, that's feeling a very different sort of switch up over here, so I went from the lo-fi drums to a bit more trap drums over here, but I was lazy and kept the exact same 808 pattern, so it is what it is. Okay, and honestly, I think I like the trap drums a little bit better on this one. The lo-fi drums felt kind of lazy. And also, I've just been liking adding like some really chill, bouncy, like trap drums over a very relaxing melody. Something about that recently has been very nice. Where normally I put lo-fi drums, but the trap drums have felt so clean recently. And honestly, that one was okay. The sample that we got, I actually really enjoyed how it was an almost real-sounding recording of an acoustic guitar. But the track that reflected it was just okay. It was alright. Now, the next demo over here, and the final demo, was probably my favorite one here. Alright, now finally for the last demo of my test over here, I had the sample after the dark synth melody in E minor prompt. Now going back over to FL Studio. Now this one closely relates to what we made here on camera today. I took some inspiration from it. I kind of like that there's like a small kick pattern in that sample as well, but unfortunately it wasn't really on time with the tempo that we created or the melody in the background. So really there's a little bit of a bust there, but I still liked it and liked the idea that it had, so I just recreated it with the drum pattern over here. And this one is definitely the favorite one that I've made so far. This part right here leading up to the drops is very much like you're outside of a club, hearing very loud speakers from beyond a different wall. Honestly, I really enjoyed that one. I built out the entire track and actually saved it to my phone just so I can listen to it whenever I wanted to. It's definitely a track that I wouldn't normally make, which I think is really the whole point of why I really enjoy doing these whole AI videos, is that they give me inspiration that I normally would not have. And although, yes, this is definitely still in beta and it's got a lot of work to go, as well as all of AI has a lot of work to go, it's still a lot of fun when you find a sample that you can actually use and create something that would not have otherwise been made. And as far as AI text to audio generation, this is probably the most reliable way that I can find so far.